My beloved students, in my previous lesson, I said something about the theory of trial and error. Thorndike has enunciated certain laws of learning, the primary laws of learning and the secondary laws of learning. They are also called the major laws of learning and the subordinate laws of learning. The first law, the law of readiness. The law states when a bond is ready to act gives satisfaction, and not to act gives annoyance. When the bond which is not ready to act is made to act, annoyance is caused. Suppose here is a child who is ready to help his father to wash the car. He is prepared for it. He wants to help the father. He wants to derive some sort of pleasure from washing the car. If he is allowed to do it, there will be satisfaction. He can derive some sort of genuine pleasure. He can enjoy it. If he is not allowed to help his father, what will happen? Instead of satisfaction, there will be dissatisfaction. There will be no pleasure at all. Instead of pleasure, there will be displeasure. Suppose another child, he is not ready to help his father to wash the car. He is not ready to help his father. He is constrained. He is compelled. He is forced to help him. What will happen? There will be no satisfaction. There will be no pleasure. There will be no happiness. Instead of all these things, there will be annoyance. There will be annoyance. That means a learner must be ready for the lesson to be presented by the teacher. In this context, readiness means the mental preparation before learning. There must be certain preparatory adjustments for learning. Otherwise, learning will never be effective. Real learning will never take place. If the learner is ready, if the learner wants to learn, what will happen? He learns the learning material very well. He listens to the teacher. He comprehends everything very well. The learning material enters his brain, enters his mind. He wants to learn the learning material. He is prepared for it. He derives some sort of genuine pleasure from learning that learning material. This pleasure, divine pleasure, can never be bought in any markets. He enjoys learning. Hence, the law of readiness is very, very important. All the children in class must be prepared for the lesson, must be ready for the lesson. If there's a child who is not ready for the lesson, it's the noble duty of the teacher to motivate him. There must be intrinsic motivation. Then what do you mean by motivation? It's nothing but internally supplied energy. The energy comes from within. If the energy comes from within, what happens? The child can enjoy learning. It can never be forgotten. It can never be forgotten. He enjoys it. It's the noble duty of the teacher to motivate all the children in class before he begins his actual teaching. This is the role which motivation has to play. Motivation is very, very important. There are two kinds of motivations: the intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. This intrinsic motivation is better than the other. In the case of intrinsic motivation, the child is intrinsically motivated. Strike the iron when it's hot. We should never try to strike the iron when it is cold. The second law, the law of exercise, the law of repetition. I think you know the laws of use and disuse. This particular law, the law of exercise or the law of repetition, is based on these laws. You remember the words of Thorndike, very, very important words of Thorndike. If there is a stimulus, there will be a response. There will be a bond between the stimulus and the response. In the case of a learner, the learning material which is presented by the teacher is the stimulus. The learner is expected to respond to it appropriately. There must be appropriate response to the learning material which is presented by the teacher. I like to say there must be a battle between the stimulus and the response. There must be a war between the learning material and the mind of the child. Then what happens? He learns the learning material very well. Okay. Suppose he doesn't use the learning material which has entered his brain, entered his mind. After some time, it will be forgotten. In order to get deep-rooted in his brain, in his mind, what should be done? The learning material which the child has learned has to be repeated. The role of repetition. This is a very important role. You see, when we learn something, it has to be repeated. An example, we have been learning English language for many years, but we don't know how to use it. Why? The reason is very, very simple. The answer is very, very simple. We don't use it. We know the rules of grammar. We know phonetics. We know many words. We know essential structures. Even then, we fail to use this language correctly. The reason is this: we don't have the habit of using it. If we used this language, we could have spoken this language very well. We didn't do that. If a child uses the thing, uses the learning material that he has studied, it will not be forgotten. It will be in his mind. It will be accommodated in his brain. Hence, this law is very, very important. The third law, the law of effect. This is also called the law of pleasure and displeasure. What's the aim of our life? We all want to have What? Annoyance? No. Pleasure and satisfaction. I am still happy to say they are absent at present. If learning is followed by pleasure or happiness, it can be retained. I mean, the learning material can be retained in the mind of the child for a long period. The thing which gives us pleasure, which gives us satisfaction, cannot be forgotten. Can you? If something gives you pleasure, if some person gives you pleasure, can you forget him? No, never. The same thing is applicable to learning too. Learning must be followed by pleasant experiences. There must be pleasure. There must be happiness. There must be satisfaction. If learning gives satisfaction, if learning gives pleasure to the child, that learning material cannot be forgotten in his life, I think. Hence, learning must be followed by happiness or pleasure. There should be no displeasure. If a child is ready to learn, he learns very well, there will be satisfaction, there will be pleasure, he enjoys it, there will be pleasant experiences. He wants to remember all these pleasant experiences. And these three laws are very, very important. If the teacher follows these three laws, he can teach very well. And if the child follows these three laws, he can learn very well. Okay? Thank you.